My name is Lauren Mortenson. I'm from Edison, New Jersey. I am 33 years old. And some of my hobbies and activities that I enjoy doing are pretty much all fitness related. I'm a big fan of kickboxing. I've been kickboxing with CKO for about 8 years now. And I love hiking, biking, swimming, and lifting. I'm a part of the organ transplant community when I became a living kidney donor in November of 2017. So the process to tell or to find out whether I was a match for my uncle was very lengthy and took a lot of patience. It started in April of 2017 when I found out that my uncle was going to have to start dialysis and he was going to need a kidney transplant. Right away, I reached out and told him that I wanted to get tested and start the process. And he actually said no at first, which, me being a very stubborn person, I didn't take no for an answer and said to him that I was going to get tested regardless. A week later, he had me come to dialysis with him. And by the end of that week, I had filled out my paperwork for the hospital. So the initial piece of getting the process started is filling out an application with your basic information and having a physical from the doctor. So I waited about a month or so before I heard back from them. And by the beginning of summer, I was going in for my initial orientation. You meet with a social worker, a donor advocate, as well as a doctor or surgeon who explains the kidney donation process. So my sister actually went with me because she knew I wasn't going to ask certain questions since I was very determined to do this. There was not a doubt in my mind that I wanted to do this for my uncle. So she was an advocate for me, asking all the possible side effects, what could go wrong, what to look forward to as a supporter of this going on. So that was the first step. And then by early July, I had started the process of getting all of my tests done. And that includes a 24-hour urinalysis and blood work for cross match and blood type to see if I was compatible for my uncle. I was at work actually when they called me and unfortunately told me that I was not a match for my uncle. Our blood types were different, and our cross match was so incompatible that nothing would help him except my kidney. When I got that news, I started crying right away. I really felt like a failure. A lot of people had this high hope and kept saying I was going to match. I was the one because he and I had such a special relationship my whole life. And then this news came and it was just like the worst moment, that I had ever had. And then I had to call him and let him know. So it was very tough, very defeating. But before I hung up the phone with St. Barnabas, they had quickly mentioned this program called the Donor Exchange Program, where even if I wasn't a match for him, they could pair me with somebody else and pair him with somebody else, where he'd still be able to get a kidney and I would donate to somebody else. Obviously, I said yes. And about 2 weeks later, they had me scheduled up at the hospital to have tests done on both my head and my heart, just to make sure everything was good. The way Dr. Malgunkar had explained it, he said they put you through like the presidential treatment, that you get every test possibly done to make sure that nothing can go wrong. So I finished that testing and I was cleared by the panel that I was a great potential donor. And we met with somebody from the Paired Exchange Program to explain that process to us. And what that is there's a database with people in the situation that my uncle and I were in, a donor and somebody who needs a kidney that don't match. And they take all your information from all those tests your blood type, your cross match, and they put it into this database, and somehow it links people to see whether or not they're a match. So I want to say that was the very end of August, beginning of September, that we were put on that list. And then it just became a waiting game. We got called that there was a potential match for both my uncle and I. I want to say it was mid-October. I was at my school counseling job, and they asked me if November 7th worked as a possible surgery date. All they said is that there were a couple other matches, that it wasn't just one person that we were connected to, that there were 3 surgeries on that date, so that it was what they called a chain. And that we were all linked based in this database, that one person was giving to somebody and another donor was linked to somebody else. So when we went in for surgery, all I knew was that there were 2 other groups having surgery that day, and actually another pair the next day. And I said, oh, that's so cool. 4 donors, 4 recipients, somehow all cross-matched together. That it's not just helping my uncle, it's helping 3 other people. Because if one person backs out, the whole chain completely falls apart. It wasn't until June of 2018, so about 7 months later, that they told us our chain of 4 pairs, or chain of 8, was actually much larger. And they gave us the opportunity to be on the Megyn Kelly show and meet some of the other people from our chain. And we found out at that point that there were at least 15 pairs of us. 15 pairs ended up turning into 32 pairs. So it was a very long chain that went on for over a year. This chain of 32 pairs, so 32 donors, 32 recipients, is the longest single hospital living kidney donor transplant chain in the nation, meaning that all the surgeries were done at St. Barnabas. The hope is that one day that record will be broken by whether it's St. Barnabas or someone else, that donors hear about this and get inspired and want to help others who are waiting on that transplant list, because it's scientifically proven that a living donor's kidney lasts longer for somebody who goes into kidney failure. Life definitely changed afterwards. I definitely had to learn to be more patient with myself. So like I mentioned, kickboxing is a big part of my life. And the only question I actually had for the surgeon before surgery was, how long was I going to have to be out of the gym? Prior to donating, most of my life, I was very overweight. I was actually at my heaviest 260 pounds. And it's been a long journey for my weight loss, but I've lost over 120 pounds, and adding muscle and losing fat. But so the gym is really my physical and my emotional health, and being out, I knew was going to be very difficult for me. So it definitely taught me patience and to listen to my body and keep myself healthy. Not much changed in terms of what I can do. It took me a little bit longer to get back to that 100%, but I actually feel much stronger physically and mentally. And then there's that added bonus of knowing that I'm a part of this amazing community that is helping people live healthier lives. And the obvious is my uncle is here. And I don't know how long he would have had to wait to find another donor, or if he would have ever found one. And that possibility of him not being there I never would have been okay with that. So just having him be as healthy as he is truly the greatest gift. The bonus is all the other people I've met, because of this. And it did actually bring my family closer together, because there were a lot of broken relationships within my family. And somehow this slowly brought everybody together, as well as just, I think, everybody realizing how important life is and how precious it is. And I don't think we've ever been this close, as a whole. So it's really special knowing that I have all of my family, and they all supported this decision, and they truly are my biggest fans, as I continue living my life and as he continues living his. So I heard about Team Liberty through, our altruistic donor, Brian, who started our kidney chain. Because of him, I was introduced to this great world of athletes and games, all for this great cause. And when I heard that they were going to be in New Jersey, I said, I have to be a part of this. Um, so I met Team Liberty members when I signed up for the 5K in 2019. And I signed up as soon as I could for the transplant games. I registered for the virtual triathlon, which was running, biking, and swimming. And then when everything became virtual, I still decided that I still wanted to be a part of it. And I did the events on my own. And I ended up going up to the American Dream Mall for 3 of the 4 days and meeting team members and hearing stories from all around the country, as they played the videos and highlights from other teams. And it was such a thrill. I definitely missed the competitive piece of it, but I'm so excited for the games next year. And I just loved the energy that was there from everybody that was connected in different ways, whether it was somebody they lost and had to make that decision to donate organs or tissue, whether it was a living donor like myself who made that decision, or a transplant recipient who was very grateful for their second chance at life. And being that the games were so different this year, we actually got to connect with the public for the first time in a very different way, where we were giving information to just people walking in the malls. And they had no idea about these games. They didn't know that there was such a large community. And we ran into organ donors, we ran into recipients, we ran into family members. I think we actually recruited a few, which is kind of cool. So it's just really exciting. I loved every moment of it, from helping out at the tables to sharing my story to listening to others' stories, and getting to the excitement of San Diego. Like I said, I met so many great people at the transplant games. I met Bill and Kathy Ryan, who are responsible for the games continuing. And I have to say, the heart and soul that goes into bringing these games together and bringing all the stories and memories to life, that's what, makes me feel whole. If someone was looking to find out more information about organ donation, or just had questions about the process in general, I would first say to reach out to the New Jersey Sharing Network or their local hospital. Asking questions, I think, is the most important thing. If you don't know the answers from somebody who's been through it or who has experience or knowledge in it, you don't want to listen to anything else. I had a lot of strange questions asked after and before I donated, just from things they saw on Grey's Anatomy or other medical TV shows that aren't really how it is. So the best advice I could give them is just to ask, to find somebody who knows more about it, and to reach out to them. There's no stupid question. It's okay to be scared. There's a huge community, no matter where you live, There are foundations like Richie Spirit that have great information on what to do and how it helps. And there are local programs as well. So it's just finding the right person and not being afraid to take that first step.